John G. Pennington, George Kell Motor Company. Always a pleasure to get to see my best friend when it comes to number 64 in the Newport Greyhounds. John G., what's up, brother?
Man, I tell you what, the business at George Kell Motors has been phenomenal. It has really, really been something. Everybody talks about business being good and all that kind of stuff, and everybody ought to talk about it when it's good, but it's really been phenomenal. These new body-style trucks and SUVs, man. You know, I've said it the last couple of shows, I drive a nice truck. It's a 13 with 13,000 miles on it now, and I just hate it. I mean, I really do, compared to the one. I let my brother borrow my truck for about 10 days, and I've been driving a 14, and he brought it back actually today, and I got back in mine, and I just hate it. You know, it's just not the truck that 14 is. You know, that's why I tell our viewers, don't come drive one of these trucks and SUVs unless you're really in the market, because you're going to
buy one.
They're really that good. They're just phenomenal.
Yes, sir.
Deals are great. Everybody still can buy crew cab pickup trucks at supplier price and rebates.
Right.
And that saves a lot of money. It's like you work for the railroad, or you work for Procter and Gamble, or you work for Kroger or something that has a discount number that you can buy at special prices. Everybody can do that right now in selected vehicles. So, gosh, why not take advantage of that and get the vehicle you won't, save a little money, and then you can buy some accessories and put on there like everybody's doing: wheels and tires and lift kits, spray in bed liners, window tinting. We do it all, man. You don't need to go anywhere. Just right there, 501 Highway 367 for the time being till we get the new one built.
Right,
we'll take care of it.
Yeah, just real quickly, tell us about where we are on the new dealership.
Well, they're doing dirt work out there. Yeah, they're moving dirt around, you know, surveying, getting it leveled, and taking some dirt out and putting some dirt in. I never understood that. What's the difference in dirt? But anyway, they're moving in and moving out. So.
I have seen, and when we built this building, they dug it out and then brought some dirt in there. And they said, okay, then we're going to dig it out and charge you this much, and we're going to charge you this much.
Oh, we need new dirt.
In there.
We got to have
and
new
I'm like you. I thought dirt was dirt, but
we got new and pre-owned dirt out there.
That's right, you do, don't
but
you?
They'll be nice. Yeah, it's going to be really nice out there. And of course, you know, Harris Ford's going to have a nice new building there too for all their customers, and it's going to be great. But you know, weather's kind of been crazy around here. I mean, here it is today. It's in the 70s.
Yeah.
This is good.
Beautiful.
It'd be a perfect day to come test drive a car. Don't even have to turn the air conditioner on.
No, you don't today.
Selection's great. You know, the 15s are going to get ready to come out. They're going to look the same as the 14s. Some exciting things. The Canyon and the Colorados are being reintroduced. They're making those in 12. They're going to look like miniature versions of the new 14 pickup trucks.
Wow. Okay.
They're going to have a V6 in them with 300 horsepower, and you know, you're going to be able to get a downsized truck with all the options that you want, like steering wheel radio controls, dual zone air, heated and cooled, navigation, all those things. Some of the earlier models of the Colorados and Canyons were kind of a stripped down truck. They didn't have radio controls and all that. These will be just miniature versions of the new body style. And then a year from now, they're going to bring out that 4-cylinder diesel.
Right.
So that'll be something for folks out here who like diesel trucks.
Yes, sir.
So that's going to be neat. Business in the back of the shop is just through the roof. And I want to say something about old Russell Bergen. Russell's been gone for about 2 weeks now, and he's going to be gone for a little while longer. Russell's got some real problems with his back, and we're all hopeful that physical therapy is going to take care of that. If not, he may have to have some surgery, but he's a key ingredient and a key cog in the wheel, baby. He does a great job. All those guys back there, David and Ronnie Cornwell and Scott Cooper and all those techs back there, and the parts. Everybody does a great job. It's a great team. We always like to say, if you'll just come to George Kell Motors and give us a chance, you probably won't need to go anywhere else, because we just take good care of the customer.
Absolutely, and really phenomenally. And I talk about being an old automobile guy and having worked at Kell, having worked at McDonald Chevrolet for a lot of years. The team that's been assembled out there. I mean, you guys have been together for quite some time, and there's just literally hundreds of years worth of experience that goes around from the back to the front.
Yeah.
You guys are so experienced, it makes it easy. If this is not anybody's first rodeo down there.
Yeah, that's
it makes it easy to purchase an automobile from George Kell Motor Company.
Well, you're right, and I'll tell you what, talking about Russell and Scott Cooper and David and those guys out there, Ronnie Cornwell, people have known them for so long, and they'll go in the service department and they'll say, look, you know, you're going to need tires, and this is not like a big city deal where they'll just, you know, they'll try to sell you everything except a new ashtray. Just build, you know, they just try to take advantage of it. They tell them the truth and say, you know, you got some problems. We can fix it. Here's the cost. If you're interested in a new car, it's a good time to buy one. Go talk to one of our guys. And they trust them and they believe them.
Sure.
And there have been times when they didn't follow that advice and they got left in a lurch, and, you know, they got things broke down and it didn't work for them. But Great place to work. Everybody gets along real well together. It's a fun place to buy a car. So many people that I haven't met before because of the internet. You know,
Right.
you meet so many new people.
Sure.
They come in and they just say, God, this is one of the worst things. I hate buying cars.
I think people do dislike buying a car.
A lot of people do. They've had bad experiences. They felt pressure, and people told them things that didn't come true. And I said, well, I think you'll find this is going to be a little bit different experience when you get done. People that saw cars on the internet, they come in, they buy them. 20 minutes later, they're leaving, and they say, this has been the easiest, best car buying experience I've ever had. I came in, it's exactly what you said it would be. The prices are the same. It's exactly. I'll tell all my friends that live in Wichita, Kansas, which is not going to happen probably, but you like hearing that.
Sure.
You like hearing that because we always hear the other side of the story where I went in, the vehicle price changed, they did all this crazy
Didn't
stuff.
have it.
Yeah, the loss leader they had, the one they did have was $3,000 more, blah 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 blah. So,
absolutely.
And we don't play those games. Don't have to.
Right.
Got a great product. Got a great service department. Got great, honest people, and we always like to say, come see why your friends and neighbors buy their cars at George Kell Motors in Newport.
They
come
are
see
doing
why.
it, my friend.
Yeah, they are. And you drive around this part of the country, back over around Jonesboro, anyway. It's amazing how many George Kell stickers you see.
Somebody posted something on Facebook before we wrap up right here. It's been 3 or 4 weeks ago where they said they were in Destin and they were at the motor. And I don't remember who it was, but they said it was amazing how many George Kell Motor Company stickers. When we drive down the road, we drive to Little Rock quite often because Grant's there. I see them everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Jonesboro, Batesville, Searcy, Little Rock.
Anywhere.
They're everywhere. They're in Destin. They're in Panama City. They're everywhere. George Kell Motors.
Well, Mr. Kell set the bar pretty high years and years ago as a baseball player, Hall of Famer. Everything he did top notch, and he taught the people who run George Kell Motors now, who's Dean, and the staff that we have, do the very, very best. Just do the best every time, and you don't have to worry about it. And I think we have aspired to that, and I think we've accomplished that. We make mistakes because we're human, David,
sure.
but when we do, we take care of it as best we can. For those of you who hadn't been to George Kell Motors, come out and give us a try. And I think you'll like it. So we're waiting on you at George Kell Motors. And look, you can see all of our inventory, at new, used, pro, everything, at georgekellmotors.com. We'll see you soon.
Jackson's Funeral Home and the Jackson family have been serving our friends and neighbors in Jackson County during some of the most difficult times of their lives for nearly 60 years. As the third generation of this family to own and operate Jackson's Funeral Homes, Jan, Rhett, and Jerry consider it the highest honor to be chosen to care for you and your family during times of need. We believe the highest standard of care is achieved when people are given the tools needed to make the most informed decision for the benefit of their family. For us, there's no greater honor than to care for our friends and our neighbors in their time of need. The Jackson's Funeral Homes, the 1900 block of Malcolm Avenue in Newport, phone number 870-523-5822.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Remember When. And I am Bud Black, and our very special guest today is Miss Monk Hinkle, Mayona Hinkle.
Right.
How in the world did you get the name Monk? Who came up with that?
My sister.
Okay.
She couldn't say Mayona.
All right.
And my daddy called me, he'd say, "You monkey, you."
Uh-oh.
Naoma shortened it to Monku.
And it
Which
stuck.
they called me till I started to school, I guess.
Okay.
That's how I got my nickname.
Well, you see, I didn't know Mayona. all my life when I first met you, 30, 40 years ago,
Yeah.
at least, it was always Monk. And if somebody said Mayona, I'd go, who was that? You know, I didn't know, girl. You know, it just. But anyway, let's get started real quick. You're the first female guest we've had on the program, and I appreciate you taking time out to be here, because a lot of people have said, you know, you want to talk about somebody that was around and knows about it, and you know, now you're not that old, but anyway, tell us when you were born and where you were born.
I was born on April 27th, 1943, on the island. Do you know where the island is?
Yes, I do. Yes,
okay. My
down
daughter,
south.
yeah, my daughter now lives about a mile from where I was born.
All right. And about, let's see, oh, you're not that old at all. You know, you're just.
I'm not old enough to be on this program.
No, you're absolutely not. I like that. No, you are old enough to be on it. Wanted to get you on here to talk just a little bit about things you remember. I know you've got some great stories that you tell in the Sunday school class. And by the way, let's talk first Sunday school and let's talk church. And Monk and I are members over at Emmanuel Baptist Church. He's in real good standing. And, you know, me, I haven't been able to stand much at all lately, so I haven't been around a lot, but I'm doing better, thanks to the Lord.
Yes.
And hopefully it won't be long.
Our knees are sore. I'm
Yes.
praying for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much. Tell me about church, what it means to you.
Oh, I love my church. I really do. We have some of the most wonderful people there. They are just willing to do anything. And, of course, you know, we just lost one of our most dearest
Jerry Madden
members, and could depend on him for anything.
You bet.
But somebody will come along, I'm sure, to take care of it. But I've been teaching the same Sunday school class for 35 years. And these ladies start at age 65. And the only way they can get out of my class is to die.
Okay.
I've lost many.
Over a 35-year period.
Yes,
All right.
wonderful ladies over the years. I had Zora Reed.
My English teacher.
Yes. She corrected me quite often. But
That's
I loved her.
not the proper syntax, ma'am.
She didn't do it in a bad way.
Oh, no.
But she was one of my very dear ladies. I learned to love her.
Well, see, you've taught Sunday school class about, like, in the olden days, it used to be that, you know, teachers got in there and taught the same class for 35 years, you know, 7th grade English or 8th grade English, and that was their job. I am the 8th grade English teacher, and I have done it since 1903. I'm going to keep doing it as long as the Lord lets me do it, you know. It just, Emmanuel Baptist Church and a lot of, as you said, good people over there. And I know that's near and dear to you, that church. And you know, I know sometimes wonder where would we be? How would we get through things?
With that, every member of my immediate family, Jerry and both girls, were saved and baptized there. Mm-hmm. Of course, Jerry's funeral was there, and Jerry Beth's wedding was there. Becky's funeral was there.
Right. Okay.
It's just a great big part of me.
And you mentioned, I'm going to talk quite a bit about your family, and might as well get started with you and the early family. This lady has a connection to me, and I am very indebted to the Eddington family, because if it were not for Paul Eddington, we wouldn't be sitting here right now. Those of you that don't know the story, I went to Paul 20 plus years ago, said I have an idea. I'd like to put the Newport Greyhounds on football on TV so the fans can enjoy it, and those folks that are shut-ins can't get to the game can see the Hounds play. And he said, well, that's a great idea. And we came to a business arrangement, and it was a good arrangement for a lot of years. And Paul has since passed, but we carry on the tradition. And if you look on our webpage at cable15tv.com. I give a pretty good salute to Paul. He and put him in the same class as my mom. You know, two real angels that we couldn't have done it without. And so tell me about the Eddington family and being a sweet young thing in that family and growing up. And I bet you never picked any cotton, did you?
As a matter of fact, I came out of the cotton patch and got bathed and dressed and went to the bank for my interview before I went to work there.
How about, boy, what a step up.
Absolutely,
You know?
yes. Grew up on the farm. Of course, in communities back then, the church was the center of the community.
Mm-hmm.
We no longer had the schools there. They had consolidated with Tuckerman by the time I was old enough to go to school. Lots of wonderful people out there.
Now, this is Hickory Grove.
Hickory Grove,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
yes. I went to school at Tuckerman. The road was just a gravel road, but one side of that road went to Newport, and the other side went to Tuckerman, and I was on the Tuckerman side.
Step across the road here.
So I went all 12 years at Tuckerman, graduated from there in 1961.
A battling bulldog.
Yes, we give Newport some hard times.
Yes.
Of course, all we had was basketball.
Uh-huh.
We didn't have baseball, football,
Right.
volleyball, nothing else. Just basketball. So we
And
definitely
excelled at that.
Yes, that's all they had.
Boys and girls, you know.
Concentrate on was the basketball team. Of course, my family, we grew up sharecroppers. Melton Umstead was the landlord for years. Grew cotton.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, of course, we were in that cotton patch, it seemed like, from January through December. But one of my little brothers, Dale, he was wanting to go fishing or something, and we had to go chop cotton. And he told me, he said, well, we have to chop it till it's got cracked bows on it. And we did, basically. I remember one of the things that was absolutely amazing to me, some of our neighbors were a lot better off than we were. And they got geese, brought in geese, and fenced in and put in their cotton fields to eat the crabgrass and Johnson grass.
Not a bad idea.
They did it.
I know. Isn't that amazing?
It was the most amazing thing to me.
You always tell people, they said, Bud, you need to mow your lawn. I said, why? I said, dude, you just need it again.
That is true. But there was not any of the chemicals that we have today back then. Daddy had a 2-row planter and a 2-row cultivator. I mean, that's all they had. Maybe a 4-row disc to farm with.
Okay.
Of course, they didn't farm all that much either. Maybe 300 acres was a big farm.
Yes.
Back then.
And today, it's
Oh, yeah. Man can farm 10,000 acres.
Right. Pretty amazing.
But a lot of family there in the community, cousins and aunts and uncles, and I remember now you've heard those old tales about people walking a mile to school and all that back through the snow and the blizzards.
Yes.
We had to walk about a quarter of a mile.
Okay. That's pretty good trek in the snow.
Yeah, Mr. and Ms. Lindley Davis had a little store down at the end of the road where the bus stopped, and loved them dearly. They would get up in the winter when it was so cold, and they would build a fire so that we could get warm before we had to get on that bus.
Oh, that's great.
They were good people. Later, I guess by the time I was in high school, we had a vehicle, and they could take us down to catch the bus. But did that for 12 years.
All right, now tell me about the family. How many brothers and sisters?
I have 4 brothers. One has passed,
Mm-hmm.
and one sister who is a lot older than me.
Okay.
Hope she doesn't mind this.
Yeah, you better be careful.
Naomi's the oldest, then me, then Paul, then Dale, Miller, then Jimmy. And Jimbo, I think is what most
Yes,
people.
yes.
He'll always be Jimmy
You
to
say
me.
Jimmy, and people say, who is
Yeah,
that?
he'll always be Jimmy to
Any
me.
kin to Jimbo?
He was born when I was a senior in high school,
Okay.
so he's he was my baby. And I remember when Becky was born. There's about 3 years, I guess, between them. Ooh, he didn't like her at all.
Oh, really?
He did not want me to have anything to do with that baby. It upset him something awful.
A little jealous.
Yes, he was very jealous. He was very
Well, if
jealous.
you took care of him, I mean, basically,
yes,
you know.
and I lived at
You were
home.
17, 18 years old when he was born, you know. And just,
I lived at home until he was about 18 months old, probably. Then Gloria and I moved into that duplex across from First Baptist Church. She worked at the Jackson County Democrat, and I worked at the bank. And we lived there a year and a half or so. She got married, and I then moved out with Naoma. Then Naoma had 4 children. Mm-hmm. That was an experience. Still is when they all get together. And of course, Paul married Sandra Knuckles, and she and my husband had the very same type of brain cancer.
Isn't that very strange?
It's like 2% of the population ever have this cancer.
Jane's father, whom you didn't know, I mean, not from around here, but my wife's father, the same thing.
Yeah, it's
That, you know, just so, you know, and they said so rapid moving and so.
Yes.
And one of those deals that, had you caught it, that couldn't do anything.
that's what they told us.
Couldn't do anything anyway. So you just say, oh, well, these are the cards, and, you know, it's the Lord's will, and hey, move on. You know, and just, that's so strange.
Yeah,
isn't it?
but that they both had, and she was only 51 when
yeah.
she died with her.
Well, yeah, I remember. Oh, it was such a shock, you know, and just, I mean, you know, that she was ill.
And
Yeah.
of course, Paul knew exactly what I was looking at when when he heard
Yeah,
what.
he'd been there and done that.
Yes,
yeah.
and it's very difficult to deal with. Very difficult.
Folks who have never been through that illness, that disease, that was someone, you know, people don't know my wife Jane, when she was 29 years old,
I
had
remember.
lymphoma. And as a cancer survivor, knock on wood, for all these years.
Yes, I remember that well.
But, you know, 29 years old. That was quite the shock.
And she didn't get a very good.
Didn't get a good report at all.
Prognosis.
No, 6 months.
Yeah, I remember.
6 months, and as I said, the Lord started doing some wonderful things, and just I don't know why, you know. And,
Wasn't through with her.
and she doesn't either. But I'll tell you what, you know, it's sometimes you get those miracles.
Yes. Sometimes it works. You know, Paul battled cancer when he was in his 30s,
Right.
and
got a lot of extra good years.
nearly 30 years.
Right.
So I mean,
Yeah.
it's. As a matter of fact, I guess Paul is the only member of my family that I know of that has died with cancer.
Okay.
We have strokes and lung diseases.
Okay. And my bunch is all heart attacks.
Yeah, I mean, usually genetics tell.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Well, we've got to take a quick break. We're just having a very laid-back conversation with Miss Mayona Monk Hinkle, who's been a friend of mine for a long, long time, and has already told us some interesting things I did not know about already, and we're going to hear a whole lot more. Stay tuned. This was interesting.
Jackson's Funeral Home and the Jackson family have been serving our friends and neighbors in Jackson County during some of the most difficult times of their lives for nearly 60 years. As the third generation of this family to own and operate Jackson's Funeral Homes, Jan, Rhett, and Jerry consider it the highest honor to be chosen to care for you and your family during times of need. We believe the highest standard of care is achieved when people are given the tools needed to make the most informed decision for the benefit of their family. For us, there's no greater honor than to care for our friends and our neighbors in their time of need. The Jackson's Funeral Homes, the 1900 block of Malcolm Avenue in Newport, phone number 870-523-5822.
Okay, so you're out of the cotton patch,
I'm out of the cotton
and
patch.
you're out of high school, and what's next after high school?
I went to work at the bank First National
Bank at the time.
down on Front Street. Absolutely loved it.
It's where John Miner has been for the last
Yes, in that building.
years.
In that building. And speaking of John Miner, his daddy, Alcorn Miner,
Yes.
Sr. My first job at the bank was as a receptionist. I had to answer the telephone, which we never had a telephone. I had to learn all that. I had to find out who was calling Mr. Shaver. So I would very politely say, "May I tell him who's calling, please?" And most people would say, "Yes, I am so-and-so." Well, I asked that question, and this man says, "Peter the Great." Of course, I panicked at everything.
Certainly.
Mary Frances Seiler saved my life so many times. And I put my hand up and said, "He says he's Peter the Great." She saw us Alcorn Miner. But things like that just blew my mind. I mean, there were so many things. And one of the things that I remember that I thought was so funny, the expression, "fat as a town dog."
Yes.
Well, I'd heard that all my life, and of course, our old dogs were skinny. They had to chase down what they ate.
You didn't see a fat one anywhere.
Well, I was sitting at my desk one day, and this gentleman came in. I later found out it was Leo Singer, one of the directors. Mm-hmm. He had a dog with him, Bud. That was the fattest dog I had never seen. It was that wide.
Could walk.
Yeah. And I remember
waddle.
when he came back to my desk, and I said, "Well, sir, I've heard of fat as a town dog all my life, but that's the first one I've ever seen."
There's the town dog.
I mean, really. There were so many things that amazed me. About 18 years old. I was 18 when I went to work at the bank.
You were in a different world.
I was in a different world.
You know,
Air conditioning.
Air conditioning and telephones.
And telephones.
I know you were apprehensive about it, and but at the same time, had to be amazed.
I was absolutely amazed. Those people were so good to me, all of them. Mm-hmm. I think about it.
Said, "Let's take care of this bumpkin here."
Yes, because she is fresh off the farm and too naive to know what to do. So, but they did. They took good care of me, and I worked there from. I went to work there in '61 in August, and Jerry and I got married in October of '63.
How'd you meet Hinkle?
Mutual friends.
Okay.
He had just gotten out of the Navy.
Okay.
And we all, but kids, like they always do, get together. And he joined the group once he got home, and somewhere we just kind of hit it off.
Good for you. Good for you.
We dated close to 6 months before we got married.
Okay. All right.
We were married 42 years. And but I
didn't mean to interrupt you. I mean,
well, that's fine.
You working at the bank? It's 1961 until.
And I married in '63. Mm-hmm. Then I had Becky in '64, and went back to work. She was born in July. Went back to work in August again, and worked until 1971, and. I had decided I wanted to have another baby, so when I got pregnant, I quit and filled in some, work when they needed help.
Right.
Never worked there again, but I've always loved it. Then I went to work, and in 1960, Jerry was born in '71. About '74, I went to work at the Farm Southern Center.
Yeah, no.
Where?
Out here, folks don't know out here on Highway 367 North. Been there for a long, long time.
Opened in 1966. Mm-hmm. Been there a long time.
And I never walk in and I don't think about Jerry.
Yeah, he was the Farm Southern Center.
I mean, I just walk in the front door, and so,
I remember thinking back. We were always full of loafers, people there just visiting, having a good time and all. If Jerry was not there, they left pretty quick. Mm-hmm. If he was there, we were completely full. Jerry had some kind of charisma that just drew people to him.
He had one of those dry senses of humor. You know, I told him one time, I said, Hinkle, why don't you smile? He said, I want to ruin my reputation.
Well, he had a rough job. Dealing with farmers was, and some of the years it was really bad because things were so hard there in that
Sure,
early
if everybody's
80s.
going busted, you know, I mean, they're not in a real good mood, you know.
We read chapter 11 until we were so sick of it that one year.
Yeah.
But
it happened to everybody.
Yes.
You know, so it's you know, just when things go crazy all at once, it just
it was.
But overall, and down through the years, it's been good to you.
Oh yes,
very good to you.
Yes,
it's a great way to make a living and be around people.
Had more fun.
Right. And
I mean, we really did.
And I hear a lot of people badmouth a lot of farmers, but you know, it is the truth, man. You know, if they don't farm, we don't eat.
They are the most wonderful people there are. They really are. Some of the most generous, giving.
Mm-hmm.
If there was a need, they didn't ask any questions. They just pulled out their billfold.
Right.
They would help. It was wonderful working with them. And of course, I did that from 1974 until 2008.
That's a pretty good run.
That's a pretty good run.
You know, down at the bank, I know you know, as an 18-year-old impressionable kid, you got to meet a lot of people. You know, there were tons of people that just you know, came in. I mean, in those days, I think everybody banked at both banks. You know, and if you saw somebody at First National, you know, you could go to Merchants and see them over there, or they were at Merchants, you could see them at First.
One of my jobs, Bud, was to go to Merchants every day and collect money for their checks that we had gotten that weren't good. So I'd have to go over there and collect money for them, for those checks. Had to go, all the businesses in town that had hot checks. Back then, you took them and they paid you for them. Then they ran them back through when they wanted to. We're talking 60s, early 60s.
Okay. I was around, you know.
I had some experiences with that too. I went into Mr. Dunham's liquor store. I had a check I had to take back to him. And this piercing whistle, I mean, it hurt your ears. And man, I was looking, there's nobody in there, an old man. He had a minor bird in there.
Oh.
Can you imagine? I said,
hey, pretty baby.
So he would, every time I went in there, he would have that bird whistle for me. He'd tell him to whistle at the girls, and he would.
Oh.
Those were the good years. Had lots of fun.
When you were young and living in the Eddington household and working on the farm, were you guys the type folks that ran into town on Saturday night, and that was about it, or go when you needed to go, or you say you didn't have a car till later on? So it just.
Well, I can remember that we came to town on Saturday afternoon and bought groceries at Kennard Gates grocery store.
Yes.
That was where we shopped.
You know, back then it seemed like there were 7 or 8, 9 grocery stores, several mom and pops. I mean, you know.
There was Hurley's and Kennard Gates's and Pick and Pay and Kroger.
And A.
Gillahan. And they all did a good business.
Lots of people.
Lots of people back there. Yeah, our population then was over 10,000.
Yeah. And people came from Augusta and McCrory to Newport instead of going to Searcy. Searcy was 5,000 people at the time. Newport's about twice the size of Searcy.
And Batesville.
There were more things to do here, more things to see, more things to buy. We had 2 theaters. You know,
absolutely.
Wow. You know, go to the movies. It just cost 15 cents or a quarter. You know.
Well, I can tell I'm older than you because when I was when I got to go to the movie occasionally, a quarter would get you in, buy you a Coke, popcorn, and candy.
It's not a bad deal.
It was not a bad deal, but you didn't have a quarter. So
Yeah, you do that today. You talk about Chapter 11. You know, it just wouldn't quite work today. But I have great memories myself of going to the movies, going to the Strand.
the Strand and the Capitol.
Yes. Yes. I've said this many times before and on the air, and I'll say it again for folks who haven't heard it. That Bill Keaty and I were talking one time about what it cost to get in the Strand, and he said, what did it cost to get into the Capitol? And I said, I don't know, I never paid. He says, if you just walk by there, they grab you and bring you in. You know? Capitol got a little rough in its later years.
They didn't have Edith Evans.
Right, that's true.
She took care of the Strand and saw to it that there was...
But isn't it amazing the changes in society? Like I say, now if you've got a theater in your town, it's 14 screens, you know, or 12 screens, or 8 instead of just one theater or 1.5. It's like I say we had in Newport, and the lack of the little grocery stores, the mom and pops, and it just and I missed that charisma. You're talking about Jerry and his charisma. I missed that charisma of the small town.
We didn't realize what we had.
I guess so.
I mean, we didn't even think about it. We just expected it to always be that way. I remember one of my favorite places in Newport was Jack's Dairy Cup.
Mm-hmm.
I have never eaten a hot dog, a foot-long hot dog as
that
good.
chili and slaw.
Was that not wonderful?
And they made a good barbecue. Also put that slaw on it.
Had so many good places to eat. Now,
Billy and Billy Page, Miss Imogene Page, who was my bookkeeping teacher in high school.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well,
yes,
they made a good hot dog, and of course the other food was okay, but I love that hot dog.
When I was in the radio business, we ran a radio campaign for them. He said, "Come by and have a must-eat barbecue." I said, "You sure you want to say that on the radio?" He said, "Yeah. If you eat one, you must eat another."
Their barbecues were good.
Oh, absolutely. But that foot-long hot dog.
It was just. I have tried to duplicate it.
Yeah, I don't know what. Believe it or not, he told me one time. He said, "Well, buddy," he said, "I put crackers in my chili to kind of stretch it out a little bit, and it gives it a little different tint, a little different flavor." And all that stuff was so good.
Yeah. Well, of course, I make a chili that you thicken it with cracker crumbs. But
so you and I remember when Jack's was on the north side of the highway.
Yes, that's where.
Gravel parking lot.
Absolutely.
And then they moved across the street, you know, to where the video place was, and all in through there.
It was and we had Dog and Suds. Remember Dog and Suds?
Do I remember Dog and Suds?
That root beer was wonderful.
And a Texas burger, they called it.
Yeah, I love those frozen mugs though with that root beer.
And then you could buy you a gallon to take home. They sold it by the gallon. You know, you could get you a gallon of root beer to take home if you wanted to.
I don't guess I ever knew that.
Yeah, root beer to go, but a root bear float.
Oh. The Rileys ran that, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. There were so many places. Paul Hurd at Paul's Dixie Queen.
Yes. I mean, it was just, and downtown, remember the Midway Cafe?
Oh, certainly. Yeah. Right across from the Hazel Hotel. I stood there the day the Hazel Hotel burned and watched it. I don't remember when it was, but I'm thinking November. But for some reason, I was out at the new bowling alley. It must have been a Saturday morning. And bowling alley was brand new here, where Churchman's Ace Home Center is. Used to be Newport Lanes, Victor Lanes. And I remember us looking down toward town and big billowing smoke. And somebody came in and said, the Hazel Hotel is on fire. So I remember how old I was, 13, 14. But me and a couple other buddies went down there and stood and watched. You talk about an amazing thing to watch that old hotel with those 3 floors or whatever it was. And I mean, so hot that the window at the Midway cracked the glass from the heat. So that just, but you know,
I guess I don't remember the Hazel Hotel. There was a hotel on the lower end of Front Street.
Well, the Hazel was where they built the bank.
Yeah, that's
Bank.
what
Yeah.
I was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Was it the Shirley Hotel?
Yes, it also burned.
Okay, I
It
remember.
was down a couple
Well-
of blocks west of there.
Yeah, I remember it, but
Sort of catty corner from where Fred's Grill was.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're talking about all these places that were. That's what.
That's exactly right.
We're remembering when.
Remembering when we had businesses. I remember Front Street was just a strip mall. There was
Certainly anything you wanted to buy, if it were legal,
Yes.
I mean, it was available to you.
remember the pool hall?
Oh, yeah, 2 or 3 of them. I mean, I've been in all of them from Fortunes down to Happy's.
The only one I remember is one that was next door to Kidder Gates' grocery
Okay.
store. I think Leon Clark worked there at
Okay.
that time.
Yeah, Fortune's Pool Hall was a busy place.
Yeah, I just remember seeing people
place.
coming and going when we.
And our parents, don't you dare go in that pool hall, boy.
So naturally,
And my daddy said, if you do anything, you stay away from that pool hall. Don't you ever go in that pool. I couldn't wait to get in that pool hall.
absolutely, because if it was that bad, it had to be good.
Right, had to be interesting
had to
at
be
least. I
interesting.
got to see what this is all about.
And those things we just don't have anymore.
No, it's
Do you remember when they put the bowling alley in out on Highway 67?
yes.
I'm telling you what, we thought that was the most fun.
I probably spent my retirement on the pinball machine at the bowling alley.
Okay.
We love to bowl, but man, we love playing the pinball.
Playing the pinball machine. Do you remember the pit?
Yeah, barbecue.
Yeah, and you could get, was it 5 or 6 burgers for $1?
Yeah. Just and the Tasty Freeze was
Yeah.
right along there later on, and had
Yes.
32 types of milkshakes. And everybody wanted a grasshopper milkshake, and it was green's all I remember. It just, oh my goodness, we got more to talk about. We're having a blast. We're visiting with Mayona Monk Hinkle. Now, on Remember When here on Cable 15. We're visiting with Monk Hinkle on Remember When, and having a good time and having all these remembrances. This is what I like to do. I like to sit down with people and just, I bounce a thought off you, and you have to think, do you remember this? Remember that? Yeah, we do remember when. Yeah, the pit you could drive through actually, and
Yes.
had a window.
Mm-hmm.
One of the early drive-through
One of
days.
the early drive-thrus.
Yeah, you could go up there and order, at the speaker thing. I thought, man, this is so neat, and just and the Razorback was like that.
I remember the Razorback.
You pulled up and ordered, and the car hops brought your deal out to
Yes.
you.
Yes.
Yeah, and then later Punches was there, and now Price Chopper is there.
That's exactly right. I love Punch's Mexican food that
Didn't
they
we
had
all?
on
Friday and Saturday
Friday
night.
and Saturday night. And I have also tried.
I'd give $100 for a plate of it
Yeah.
right now.
Yes, it was not hot and spicy. It was just good. I love those tacos.
Tacos and the rice. Oh, that
Was that
rice
not-
was so good. Just
The Mexican places can't hold a candle to it.
no, it was different.
It was different.
And Punch Holcomb, who was a friend of my family, went down to Little Rock to Mexico Chiquito and visited with those people, and went down there off and on for a couple of months to see how they did it and what they used. Now, he didn't copy their recipes; had his own stuff he wanted to use. But came back, and he was up on Malcolm, where the Barbecue Inn later was.
Yeah, I remember that.
Across from the downtown motel, which is still there, and he started serving Mexican food there on a Friday night. Because I can remember being a kid, like in the 8th grade, getting ready to go to the high school football games, and the family would go to Punches, and we'd eat Mexican food, and then go over to the game. And then he moved out here. Business got good enough that he bought the old Razorback and moved out there. And, of course, it just exploded for him business-wise.
Good business.
It was fantastic.
I have also tried to duplicate that avocado dressing that he put on that salad, and I don't know what he did to it.
And the cheese dip, of course, which was just
and
different.
I can get pretty close to that, but the dressing I have not been able to do yet.
Right, yeah.
I love to cook.
Oh, I love to cook and I love to eat.
I love to cook.
Yeah, the only thing I like more than cooking is eating.
Me too. And since I've retired, I cook a lot. I mean, I experiment a lot.
Okay, what do you really like to cook? What's your favorite? Do you bake at all?
Oh no, I don't.
I don't bake either.
I don't care for sweets.
I'm a meat and potatoes guy. I'm a casserole guy.
Casseroles mostly.
Oh, me too. I can get in that kitchen and start throwing stuff together and come up with something pretty good.
Yes, the boys love my pizzas and lasagna, and the Will is really picky.
Okay.
Sam will eat anything, or at least he'll try.
Now these are
the grandsons.
Yeah, the little boys.
Yeah, the little boys.
Yeah, the little boys.
The little boys, and I still think of them as little boys.
Well, certainly.
They're both a lot bigger than me now.
Mm-hmm.
But they're still little boys because
it happens fast.
Every time they come over, they still scuffle just like they did when they were 3 and 6.
I make chicken spaghetti, and Jane says that every time I make it, it's something new because I always put something different in it.
I do the same thing. I made a chicken casserole it's probably been over a month ago now, and did it completely different than any time I have ever made it, and it was absolutely wonderful, and I'm just hoping I can remember what I did.
Yeah, I'm at that age where I don't know what to put in it, but I'll try again. Yeah. I'm always grabbing an extra can and saying, well, I wonder how a can of peas would go in this. I wonder, I just put some green beans in there, how that would work.
This flavor, this spice is pretty good.
Yeah.
I wonder what it'd be like in this. As a matter of fact, that's one of the things that I did. I put some thyme in my chicken casserole, and it did make it taste good. Mm-hmm. Just experiment with different things.
Thyme and rosemary, and all that stuff.
Now, rosemary is not one of my favorite
spices.
I don't use it very much, but I've tried about all of them.
Well, I'm like you. Like I say, I love to cook, but now I know you spend a lot of time doing that, cooking. What else you do these days?
I sit at my computer a lot.
Okay.
I love to play Spider Solitaire.
Mm-hmm.
I am the proud new owner of a Android tablet.
Whoa!
Just got it this past week, and love it. Love reading on it. Mm-hmm. Jerry Beth had taught me how to set it up, how to buy books and all that. So reading is my main pastime.
Okay.
And my house is so full of books, I was going to have to do something. So
got a library, huh?
Yeah, this way I can. It's not in my way. The book's not. It's on that little. It's about 8 by 10. But that's my main pastime is reading.
When you met Jerry and got married, you was in the early '60s. That I'm sure turned into quite an adventure.
Oh my goodness! Yes, Jerry was working at Farmers Oil when we married. Of course, I was working at the bank, and we married in '63. Well, in '65. They decided, this group of men decided that they were going to put in a farm store.
All right.
See, I know it was Jerry and Preston and Andy Doyle and the Hagwood brothers and Man Schaffner and Bud Deaton.
Pretty good bunch of folks.
And Dorsey Wilmans.
Pretty good bunch of folks.
And so they did, and that was scary. Because, I mean, Jerry had a job. My goodness, he's making $40 a week. And here he's going venturing out into...
What? You got a steady job, man.
Yeah, and you want to risk all this?
Yeah, $40 a week for something you don't know anything about.
It worked out really well. Of course, the main thing in the middle 60s was the chemicals. They had started... they had Treflin for it's a pre-merge for cotton and soybeans.
I remember that very well.
And they had Stam to kill the grass and rice. Those were the only two that they had.
Yeah.
The last time I looked before I left Helena, there must have been 18 pages of different chemicals that you could use on the farm.
Right. It's pretty amazing.
Pretty amazing how technology has moved along.
And I'm not going to argue against technology, but sometimes, boy, it's over the top for me.
Absolutely.
And there's a point to where I know it helps. It's helped a lot of folks. It makes work more efficient. But sometimes you get to where you're not getting a return on the technology. Sometimes it makes it a little tougher.
Right.
Actually.
In 1995, I did all the bookwork at Farm Service Center. Didn't have a bit of trouble keeping up with it. Did all the invoices, tickets, did it on a no business machine that we had for years. And the company that sold us our service contract told us they could no longer do that because they couldn't get parts to service the machine. We were going to have to go on computer. And I said, what am I going to do? What am I going to do?
About like walking into the bank at 18 years old.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Lord always provides. One of my nieces was in college majoring in computer technology. She needed a part-time job. She came to work and set all that computer stuff up. Amazing. I mean, she bought them. I picked them out, bought them, and got everything set up. And Mirley, who had been working over at the seed part, had come over to help. It took all three of us to put all the information into those things that I had been doing by myself. But you would not believe what we could get out of them.
Amazing.
It's amazing.
It just...
They're only as good as what you put in them.
I'm like you. I've always been, old school. That I don't need this. And I find myself spending a bunch of my free time in front of a computer now.
Yes.
I like to read about the stock market. I like to read about the St. Louis Cardinals. There's just
so
a lot of stuff
things
on there. I can get on there and check the radar. If it's like the other day, cloud coming up. And just see where the rain is.
But I remember well the day you shut the radio station
I certainly
down.
did.
Due to a storm.
Boom! Looking for the Frady hole. I had to elbow because there's too many people in the Frady hole. I said, well, that's where it's supposed to be, and that's good.
Was that 68?
Yeah, May 15, 68 for what we call the oil trough tornado.
Okay.
Oil trough Tuckerman tornado. It went into Jonesboro and killed 39 people at Nettleton.
I remember. That was probably the worst one that we've had in this area.
It was a mess. I know that. An oil trough most oil trough flattened. On the west side there. That was a rough night. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
A lot of people lost their lives, but we were fortunate in Newport. It storm tracked like the March 1st, 97 storm at Jacksonport tracked just north and west of Newport.
Yeah.
So here in town, and we've been very, very fortunate down through the years.
Have we ever had a tornado
Yes,
hit?
we've had a couple of small ones. A couple of what they call EF zeros. So one hit the old Jack's Dairy Cup up here on the highway, Yeah. Another out in an old neighborhood out here, your neighborhood. hit my brother Kenny's and Cindy's house and damaged their roof and did a little damage, flipped over a truck behind them.
Yes, I was sitting at my kitchen table when that happened. Didn't even know anything was going on.
Those were like what we call F-Zeros. I mean, they're not very strong. I mean, 65, 70 mile an hour winds, but enough to take the roof off.
And it definitely flipped that van.
Yes, it certainly did. It certainly did. So what were we talking about? I lost my train of thought. How did we get on weather?
I don't know how we got on tornadoes.
I don't either, you know.
But I remember, don't you?
Oh, golly gee, do I remember.
I'm just thankful that I can remember.
Well, you know, that's what the show is, remember when. But I cannot let you get away without, I've got to have some stories about everybody's buddies, Mr. Jimbo Eddington and Mr. Millard Eddington. I want it for public consumption right here on television. You know, I just, you know, something that next time I need some work done at the house, I can say, hey, I'll tell you what I know. Come here. You know, let me tell you what Sis said about you. So just tell it to everybody. Just, you know.
Jimmy, or Jimbo, was always just a precious little boy. Sweet as he could be.
Why, still is.
Never gave me any trouble. Did anything I asked him to. A good brother.
Okay.
Miller's the meanest kid I ever saw. He was absolutely awful. Of course, Miller's 8 years younger than I am. And when my boyfriends would come to the house, what do you think Millard would do?
Mm-hmm.
He told them everything he could think of. Oh, I've wanted to kill him so many times. But I guess he's a pretty good boy, too.
I guess so. I know one thing. They have both been very, very successful.
Oh, they're hard workers.
And people who elect to stay home. I love people from this area, Newport and Tuckerman, Jackson County, who elect to stay here and help local people and help with the economy. And it just, you know, Kenny, David, and I, you know, three brothers have elected by choice. David says, I'm here by choice. You know, and it's amazing to me when I see families like that still have their roots here and have elected to stay here, and it's so important. If we're ever going to grow a lot, you know, it depends on folks who've been here.
Yes, you're right.
You know, it depends on folks who you know, whose kids are interested in staying here, or grandkids, you know, interested in staying here, and your family has done that.
Yeah, every one of us live right here.
Yeah.
My daughter lives here. Naomi's children, she has one in Alabama and one in Hot Springs and one in Pocahontas. They're all three of them are pretty close, but most of my family we like it here.
I have never found any place on the planet, and I've been lucky to travel a little bit. Saw some great places and some wonderful things, but I was always glad when I got home.
Absolutely.
Always glad to get home. And for some folks that have to spend their lives moving around from place to place, and some folks like that. They say, I want to go experience different areas, different cultures, different people. You know, it's fine. I mean, that's wonderful. That's what you like. But boy, oh boy, you know, my mother-in-law, May Pingle, and a lot of people know May.
Yes, I know May.
Always told me, he said, you need to get out there and move around. And she and her husband moved a lot. You know, they had different jobs and things. They moved all around the country, you know, from Chicago to California to McAllen, Texas. And then she came 17 years ago, moved to Newport to be around Jane, you know. You know, it's just what I wanted, a mother-in-law to move close to me.
Everybody needs a mother-in-law.
Yeah, right. But anyway, she always gripes at me. Doesn't gripe, but discusses with me the fact that, well, do you regret not having moved around, met a lot of people, and done all? I said, no. I said, hey.
No.
That would have been terrible for me. I said, I am thankful and blessed that I got to stay right here. And as David Black says, I think, before it's all said and done, when it's all said and done, they'll plant us out here at Walnut Grove, and we'll all be happy campers.
Absolutely.
So we have no intention of going anywhere. And, people have a lot of chances to go places and do things, and we've just elected to stay. I love Newport and Jackson County.
I do too. Always have. It's my home.
Boy, I tell you what, and all the changes that you've seen down through the years, it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and there have been some good ones.
Oh, most of them probably are good.
There's been some good things. There's some things that I wish we still had that we don't have any longer, but and part of it is the community spirit that we used to have. So, didn't you not love the Follies?
Oh, the Follies were great, and I love people coming over to our house when I was a kid playing cards.
Absolutely.
There'd be 20 couples that my parents, were friends with. They'd all come over and play Tripoli or talk, or so they have 6 tables set up, playing and just having fun.
Yes, and people visited.
Yeah, and now it's we become what I call, the computers, a self-contained society. You can sit at your computer and probably get anything and everything you'd ever need. You can have groceries delivered to you. You can have clothing sent to you. You can have medical care, prescriptions sent to you. Just about everything. You don't have to leave the house. And I don't like that. Social media and texting have about destroyed communications. Well, I like doing this show. People don't talk.
No, they don't
anymore. They don't communicate. Drives me nuts, absolutely nuts, to be sitting and watching people doing this all
I've never learned to text yet.
I would tell folks I was in Jonesboro one time, and there were 2 young men, 13, 14 years old, sitting as close as you and I are, side by side. And they're both just more than 98 miles an hour. And I was curious, and I said, boy, y'all are really texting. What you got going on? Who you talking to? Whatever. They said, each other. I said, would it be a little easier to just turn over and talk? No, nobody does that. Thank you very much. But it's a different world, but I'm still glad to be a part of it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. I'm getting, okay. Oh, okay. I got my director over there says, we'll be right back. We have some final thoughts coming up right after this break.
Jackson's Funeral Home and the Jackson family have been serving our friends and neighbors in Jackson County during some of the most difficult times of their lives for nearly 60 years. As the 3rd generation of this family to own and operate Jackson's Funeral Homes, Jan, Rhett, and Jerry consider it the highest honor to be chosen to care for you and your family during times of need. We believe the highest standard of care is achieved when people are given the tools needed to make the most informed decision for the benefit of their family. For us, there's no greater honor than to care for our friends and our neighbors in their time of need. The Jackson's Funeral Homes, the 1900 block of Malcolm Avenue in Newport, phone number 870-523-5822.
We're visiting with Monk Hinkle on Remember When. All right, we've got to wrap things up, but for you, I know it's been a good life. It's been
Absolutely.
A great life.
Been blessed.
And a lot going on. A lot of people made it nice for you.
A lot of wonderful friends.
Well, that's what it's all about, don't you think?
Absolutely.
You've got friends, you've got your church, you've got your family. I don't know what in the world else now. You had some losses along the way, like we all have.
That's life.
But that is life. Jerry and Becky, and what a wonderful, beautiful kid she was.
She was amazing.
Oh my goodness, and Hinkle just I smile when I think about Jerry Hinkle.
He was one of a kind.
Absolutely. So, listen, I appreciate you taking the time to come and talk and give us a different insight and a different look about things. And my pleasure. And I know when I first asked you to be on this program, you said, "Oh my goodness!" I said, "What would I do? What would I say?" This has been pretty entertaining. It's good to hear things about folks and who they are and where they came from and what they remember. Ma'am, my pleasure. Thank you so much. It's always nice to see you, whether it's at church or wherever the case may be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Miss Mayona Hinkle, Miss Monk Hinkle here on Remember When. Remember, our program is available to you on the web, cable15tv.com. Where else, David? On YouTube, Facebook, and right here on Channel 15. Thanks for watching. For David and Ben Black, I'm Bud Black. So long for now.